Hey everybody, it's Distractionist. It's day 9 of Tarot Mas. So I'm here to answer a question, series of questions that I got. And this is just like an overall, I guess, view. So it's from In Melodic 6391. So there's a series of questions, but yeah. So question 1 is, do you worry about kinds or degrees of nudity in the decks that you bring? I know there's just plain nudity in some majors, but does it ever come up as an issue for readings at a market or an event? So for the most part, I don't bring overtly like suggestive sexual decks. It's not even like, I just never feel called to like bring them, to be honest. I never feel like the messages that people need to hear need to come through that deck specifically. So I never even bring them. But like there's decks that have like just nudity, like they're not like sexual in nature. They're just kind of like a girl like hanging out, a guy hanging out, someone hanging out, you know. It's not like the sexual tarot, sexual magic, or Decameron, or like other decks that are like, I feel like overtly sexual and leaning into like that realm. It's just general nudity. It seems like pretty much people are okay with it. Like no one's ever been offended by it. It depends on the venue and who you're reading for, but I would say, I guess, to let them kind of look at the deck. If they want to look through the deck, that's fine. But generally, I've had like no issues with that. And because I let people pick the deck, I feel like they're more drawn to what they want as opposed to me like picking. So like I have preferences, they have preferences, but since it's their reading, even though I'm the reader, the actual tarot reader, I do let them pick. I don't let them pick the cards per se. Like if I do a 3-card reading, I'm not telling them to pick 3 cards. I'm going to pick 3 cards, but I do allow them to pick the deck. So there's that. Do you consciously try to bring in Venus-y decks, which I assume may be good for relationship or self-love related readings, or decks that tend to be good at different kinds of readings? So, and I said this in the response, but when I actually do make like deck interview type things, I haven't done it in a really long time, even though I have quite a few new decks that probably need to be like interviewed. I assign a planet to them. So I assign a planet. Usually it's like 1 to 3 planets, and sometimes it's like an aspect in astrology or a house in astrology that I feel like it resonates with, right? So sometimes we'll have a deck that's like sun, but sometimes I feel like it's a 6th house sun. And it gets very weird because not every deck is like that for me. But I read by planet because I am very interested in astrology, and I deck interview and assign a planet to that. And it just lets me kind of know maybe some of the energies that are coming through. I'm an animist also, so that kind of would make more sense. If you are an animist, it might make a little bit more sense, because I personally feel that objects, when you interact with them, especially tarot, I'm not going to say the remote that I have here or something like that, but like tarot, because you're using it for a spiritual, psychic kind of purpose, I feel like the energy that comes through is, it has a certain like flavor, a certain essence to it, and that essence I translate into a planet, a planetary like point, a sign, you know, planet, house, whatever you want to call it. So there's that. When it comes to readings for relationships, I personally feel like the planetary way that I look at things would help the way I personally read. And it's because if you choose, like, I have like readings I want to offer in 2024, but they're planetary readings. So if you pick a topic and a planet, so if you pick love, but you pick like Pluto, like there may be like certain themes that come through that Pluto deck that had you picked like a very Venus kind of deck may not show up. And I kind of feel like it's very, I don't want to say, but it's pretty obvious, I guess, to go for the Venus decks for relationships. I think that Jupiter has a lot to teach us about relationships, the Sun, Pluto, Neptune. I feel like all the planets have things that can offer you. So a word of advice would be to not limit yourself if you were to assign planets to your decks. Not worry about picking the more Venus-y kind of decks that that people will use for relationships specifically. Now, if you want to assign certain decks, if you feel like in using them certain themes come up, then that's cool. But outside of the planets, I try not to pigeonhole what sort of topics that the deck can do. It just seems like thematically, essence-wise, the planet kind of takes care of how I'm going to read. And hopefully that answered the question, because I feel like I was going like this. But yeah, I don't pick Venus-y decks. Like if I throw a Venus deck in there, I don't assume that the person who looks at it is going to be the person that kind of does relationship readings. Also, when I read in public, I don't have relationship readings as a specific reading. It's just the number of cards. It's 1 card, 3 cards, or 5 cards. And then you can choose topics from there, choose question from there. But yeah, I let them choose the deck. So even if I had a Venus deck, they may not choose that deck. They may choose a deck that's like the Sun or something like that. So there's that. And then how do you choose which deck to use for the reading when you're going to give someone a reading at events? Do you choose it based on the client's requested question? Do you let them choose a deck? So yeah, I basically answered these. I do let them choose the deck. I do let them look at them for a while. And the reason why I have so many decks is because for me, I do like watching to see which decks people feel really drawn to, but I also want to make sure I have enough variety that people don't get overworked. Like, they don't feel like okay, I'm letting you choose a deck, but it's like 2 decks, right? Like 1 or 2. I do like to have like a good variety, and like I said, I think I put it in video 8, or whichever video, choosing the decks. I think that's 7. I like visually appealing decks. So I just want the querent to kind of have some sort of choice or something really nice to look at as well. Because I kind of feel like the Rider-Waite, yes, it's nice. And it's actually a nice deck. I like the Centennial version, and I do like the version that's like the bright ass yellow. I hate like the original Rider-Waite. Like, I hate the Radiant one. I hate that coloring. I think I also hate the line work on that, because they try to do like extensive line work on the faces and stuff, and it's just like, I feel like you're taking something away from the art. But yeah, I let them choose. I want them to have enough choices, so usually I bring about 10 decks or so, and I want them to, if you have a question, ask it. If you want it general, then say that. But I don't necessarily, in my listing, I don't have it like topic based. So those are the questions that I got. Now this is going to be, I guess, a longer video, because I'm going to kind of segue into booking a tarot reading or getting a tarot reading. If you're going to get a tarot reading, and this is not necessarily at an event, but if you're going to book a tarot reader, I think you need to be acquainted with their style and what they do. So I personally would advise that you watch their readings. Like, if they are online, watch their readings, watch what they're saying, and kind of maybe watch 1 or 2. And if you're going for specific topics, I would also make sure that they read those topics, because some readers are not comfortable talking about heavy heavy topics, so like abuse or like just things like that, like that's not their lane. And if you're going to them for that sort of topic, they may not feel comfortable with that, and they could possibly refuse you. And that's with just any topic. So I would make sure that you are going to a more aligned kind of reader. So if you want love readings and you're watching people who don't really do love readings, like if you watch Pick a Cards, I watch a lot of Pick a Cards about love. It's like it's a travesty, but I watch a lot of Pick a Card readings about love. But if I then wanted to book a reading, I need to make sure that they do love readings, because I've watched and subscribed to a few people that talked about this, and that the one lady I watched, she was like, she didn't like those sorts of questions, but she found that people kept like coming to her asking them. Like she said it wasn't the majority of the work that she ended up doing, but she was just kind of annoyed because it's just like, I don't even like these topics. Like I don't even like this love reading type thing. And especially the questions that talked about like cheating, like ex coming back, like twin flame type stuff, like she was just like not for it. So the advice would be to make sure that you watch a few of their readings and make sure that they're the kind of reader that does the topic that you're looking for. I would kind of see like if they have any reviews online, if they have a website or something like that. I would maybe, if you could find it, their video on their personal philosophy about reading, things like that, their practice. Just make sure that you're getting the best reader for you. Make sure they're a legit reader. I don't know. These are like different topics. Another thing would be, another piece of advice, please be specific. Like, be specific with your question if you have one, because I've read for somebody and I've done the reading, and then like they wanted a specific area of their life, but when they initially came to me, it was just like general. And it's like, if you really want a love reading, like there shouldn't be any shame in that. Like there's no shame in wanting a love reading. Like that's what a lot of people do come for. Like love readings, and that's what a lot of tarot online is, to be frank. It's a lot about relationships. Now, like some of these people, I'm just like, damn, like why is everything going wrong with you? Like everything, like nothing's going well. Your love life is trash. The job is horrible. My job is actually pretty decent. It's getting better. But yeah, like it's just like, yeah. Like kind of like pay attention to that. Be specific with what you want. Not necessarily like the answer that you want, but if you want a love reading, specify that it's a love reading. Don't be like, oh, general, and then like hope they pick up on like what you're thinking about when it comes to love. Like if you say general, I'm gonna just pull in what pulls in, because it may not be your love life that like the messages come out with. It may be, your car, like it may be your house, it may be your cousin, it may be the fight that you had, at work with a customer or something like that. Like it may not be what you're looking for, and then you're disappointed. And it's just like, you still may be disappointed if I did the love reading when you requested specifically, but at least you got the love reading. At least you got the career reading. You know what I'm saying? At least you got like the 2024 forecast. You may not like it, but you got what you asked for, which is love, career, finance, things like that. So yeah. What else? I had a topic and then I started talking. Had another thing. I had to think. You want to be specific. You want to ask the questions. Things like that. Another thing is, when you get like your reading, actually like sit with the reading and don't like try to like book again, because I know some people, because they may not get the answers that they want, they like keep booking and they go to like several people. I wouldn't advise that. I would advise you to sit with the reading and actually like contemplate it, because this is money that you spent on advice. It's literally advice. You're paying for advice, essentially. You're paying for advice with a certain, that's coming through a certain lens, right? A certain spiritual lens or certain viewpoint. But you're paying for advice and a perspective and an overview that someone is seeing based on cards that are being laid out. And so you want to kind of actually listen to what's being said or read what's being written for you and sit and meditate with that and then act accordingly. I would say don't jump from person to person to person when it comes to trying to get a reading, because it's just like you could eventually overload yourself, one, and then two, you're bound to run across someone who's just willing to take your money and not give you the advice that you need. Things that I personally want during a reading, so we're going to transition to the third part. Things I personally want during a tarot reading as a reader. So this is like my personal preference for the client. I do prefer clients to be okay with, and this is like, it can go either way, but I personally prefer clients who are able to sit there and listen and go through like harder aspects of readings, because not every reading is sunshine. If, to be honest, I guess with my like Pluto, Moon, Venus aspect, if I have to talk about like certain topics like abuse, I need to talk about that, and I don't want to censor myself personally when it comes to that. Now, I know we're in this public space and I'm not going to put your business out there, but if I see, like, I'm like, if you're going through something when it comes to like physical abuse, like, I need to be able to say that and not have the person just be like, I can't. And I know that's like stretching the bounds and it's going into like mental health, therapeutic like things, but I need to be able to give that sort of perspective. If I'm seeing something like really serious, I need to be able to like say it. So I personally like clients who are okay with me talking about like harder aspects of relationships, of life, and being able to like just sit with that. Now, I'm not going to be like, you know, I really don't get messages of like death or anything like that, or you know, someone around you is dying. So it's never been like that. But I feel like sometimes the harder emotional aspects that people are going through, like, oh, YouTube is so on the censoring side, but unaliving and stuff like that. Like, I think because I feel like sometimes you, in general in life, you meet people in the nick of time before they're going to like veer off into a certain avenue, and like you being there helps to course correct. And I feel like I like being that person in certain aspects. And so if a client comes to me with like heavier energy, like I'm okay with that. It's just after that you're gonna have to do things, and I make it very well known. Other things that I like, I don't like you like filling in the blanks, or I hope this isn't rude, but like talking while I'm talking. Like, you know how like so you're giving a reading and you're like the Three of Swords, and I was like, yeah, so I feel like, you know, I'm looking at the Three of Swords, you know, so it looks like there may be some sort of shift in your company, like management or something like that, and it seems like the management is going to change things. There may be a few layoffs, there may be, you know, a few structural changes. You guys might be changing your branding or something like that, and then like immediately the person like fills in the story. I don't like that. And it's not because, ooh, I like figured it out. It's just kind of like, it kind of it just interferes with what I'm saying. And then like if I had something to say, now I forgot it. Like I forgot in this reading, and I can't like tell you because like now it's gone. Because sometimes like I've written things or I've said things and the people's like, oh, what did you say? And I'm like, I don't know. Like that has moved through me and like it's gone. I can't repeat that because it's just gone. Like whatever I needed to say in that moment, I said, and now it's gone. Like I can't remember everything that I read. Like I can't. So as few distractions, interruptions as possible, and as few fill in the blanks as possible that are interjections into what I'm reading. And so that's personally what I'm interested in. But yeah. So thank you for watching. I know this is a longer video, but I wanted to answer these questions and then just kind of like put my little personal thing in there. So if you are a reader, how do you like to read? What are some of the key things for you when it comes to clients? What are the key things for you if you'd like to watch or have your readings done? Excuse me. If you guys have any questions, you can put them down below. I'll be sure to answer them. Maybe make another video about them. Yeah. So thank you for watching. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.